Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Review on the PLD Projects Network. I am your host, PLD, and with me, as always, my co-host, friend extraordinaire, Miss Lego. How are you doing today?
Well, I just watched this episode, so
Okay, that says something.
I rather would have been watching Anyone But You, which I've watched twice now. Couldn't tell you why.
I was watching
Kinda
iRobot earlier, and I would actually have been rather watching that again, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but do you like that?
I kind of do. I like it
There's a
more than most people
difference.
do. Oh, so you don't like Anyone But You, but you're watching it again.
I don't know. I just can't stop watching it.
Oh, so okay, so you're undecided, and it's okay to be undecided. You can watch a movie 500 times and still be undecided on it. It's just research.
Yeah, like I'm still like I think I like Kroll,
Mhm.
but it might just be because I don't understand it.
You know,
I
there are
keep
movies
watching
like
it
that.
thinking this time I'm gonna get it. I don't.
I'm actually gonna lose my audience right here. I think I just recently watched the first time in a long time, The Dark Crystal. A long time.
Say more.
And I enjoyed like everything about it except like how do I put this? Because I love the practical effects, love the effects,
Yes.
love the tone, love like the world, but like I felt like everything got better in Labyrinth and more memorable in Labyrinth as the next like step on this Henson production. Like I just feel like the characters were kind of very surface level stuff. And I know it's a kids movie, but it's dark for a kids movie. And I like that because that's what kids movies were back in the day. That's why I think a lot of 80s kids are horror kids, honestly, because all of our kids movies were kind of like darker and grimmer than like we're used to now. But I don't know what it is about it. I can't quite wrap my hand around why I don't love it like most people I know do.
So I don't like are they Skeksis?
Skeksis, yes.
I don't like their voices. They really bother me. I'm someone if I'm watching something and I don't like the voice, I'm totally
Ooh,
out. So I
yes.
feel that way. I have a whole video on my channel, plug, about why they should have killed off Gollum. No, Lord of the Rings, because I absolutely hate him. And Andy Serkis is doing almost the exact same voice. I don't remember the character, but the little dog in the Black Cauldron, in that old Disney movie.
Right.
It's almost the identical voice. I'm like, if you just pulled that dog out the movie, it'd have been a fantastic film.
That might be part of it. I think also the puppetry work, not the puppetry, but like I look at the faces of like Jen and Kira, and I'm just like, I don't know. They
It's
just
so
don't.
cute.
They're very cute, but they're very like almost blank, almost like nondescript to me. I'm like, I don't know. I don't
I
know what
have
about it
seen that
is.
on the in a movie theater, which was pretty fun to watch it like that.
I think it
I
would be
would
more fun in a
I
movie
would
theater.
recommend it. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's some sort of anniversary coming up.
I'm sure there will, and I will. I did like enough that I definitely would go see it in the theaters at this point. But I always like. It's one of those movies that I feel like I should love and don't, and I don't know why.
Oh, I definitely have those movies. None like pop to the mind, but like I've definitely like this seems like I should love it. The Craft. It
Mm.
seems like I should love it, but I got a lot of problems.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I know. That's what happens with movies, though. At least you give it a shot, and we'll come back to it, and we'll see. Well, maybe we'll have a show on some of those movies we've wanted to revisit someday after we get through all the V stuff. Maybe that'd be a good thing to do. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And you know what? People know me as a positive person generally, I think. I just think I try to put myself forward as looking for the good in things. I mean, I don't think I unfairly let things go, but I tend not to be heavy on criticism if it doesn't deserve it. I want to put forth a positive this week. And it's a low bar positive.
Oh, I have the same thing. What's yours?
It's that there wasn't anything egregiously offensively bad about it. It was boring. I think most of the bad things kind of don't work because the whole show hasn't worked. But the episode itself, I actually think was a decently made episode. If that
The
makes
editing has improved. That's one thing.
Yes, I actually noted that as well because I looked for that more since I've been talking to you about it.
Yeah. And the other thing, I guess it's kind of a holdover from last week that I hadn't observed,
Mhm.
but this week was really prominent to me because we've had more of his character in terms of Hobbs. Is that if you want to hire someone to be like an uncaring badass, but you're not actually going to give us a lot of information about him, just hire a guy with an Australian accent. There you go. That's all we need. We know he spent his whole life battling sharks and spiders and kangaroos. We know he's tough.
That's right.
That accent tells us that. That's actually pretty ingenious.
You know,
They got
that's a
the
good
mind of
point.
a mastermind.
That is a good point. See, that's a plus. I think that's why I think you might have stumbled onto the reason why I talked about Hobbs before he showed up. I remember saying I liked him when he appeared. I think I like him because he is nothing there. Again, there's nothing egregiously bad about him. I kind of like the idea of throwing him into the mix of things, and I can put a lot into him. You know, I like sometimes you put things into characters that they don't give you a whole lot, and that what you put into can actually be better than anything that they actually come up with.
Yeah.
Sometimes vagueness
It's called
actually do look
headcanon,
great.
PLD,
That's
and I live in it.
For this show,
I
you kind of have
exist in it.
to. For this show, you do kind of have to.
Oh,
Let's get
wait. I do have a side question though.
all right.
When it comes
Absolutely.
to Hobbs, every
Mhm.
time you say Hobbs, do you silently think and Shaw?
It's either that or I think of Calvin. I want to know where Calvin is. Of Calvin. So I mean, they're both, but I understand both aspects of it. So it works.
Like Hobbs just can't exist on his own. He has to
Yeah,
have an and
and yeah,
partner.
absolutely. So what happened to them? What happened to Shaw, or what happened to Calvin? Imagine this in this
He
world.
probably ate them.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely. All right, let's get into this week's episode. I will say we talk about the editing. Um, or not. This is actually an editing thing, but talking about the shot, I actually love the opening shot of Sydney in this beginning, the first sequence there, despite the fact that it was a
PLD,
bliss.
we agree that was some stock footage, though. They didn't do that.
Hey,
They bought
whatever
that.
works, whatever works, whatever it
I
worked
mean,
and
I've
looked
seen some
good.
great footage by, in that case, Tommy Wiseau. Wow, that footage of the Golden Gate Bridge. You did a good job
When I'm
on
looking for
that.
positives, and I watched it, and I was happy looking at Sydney, and going, that's kind of a nice view right there.
You
I
know what
kind of like
also
that.
takes place in Sydney? 81 But You.
It's all going to come back around to anyone but you, isn't it? I'm going to have to watch it now afterwards. I haven't seen it yet, so.
Oh, I'm gonna stop spoiling because I was gonna have more jokes. I'm gonna
You could.
stop.
I have the feeling that this is a movie you can probably spoil for me, and I won't be too upset about being spoiled for it.
Well, here at the end, do you think that they got together?
I haven't seen enough of it to even know or even care about it either way. If they do
It's
or
a
they don't,
rom-com,
well, they
PLD.
got to
In
get
the
that. They
end, do
got to
you
get
think they
together,
get
right?
together?
Yeah, they got to get together, right?
There
Okay.
you go.
The way you asked that was kind of like, well,
Spoiled.
maybe it's not, but okay. Fair enough. That's the big spoiler. Yeah, they get together. Shocker. But they open up this week's episode with the city shot and, of course, more bliss. But the bliss this week is more intended to show the fifth column or the revolting members of the visitors who are gaining human emotions somehow.
Ugh.
See, I agree. That is a personal I understand why they do it on paper because it makes sense. You have the bad guy aliens and you have the emotionless aliens and becoming him, but that's works for like robots and stuff that works on that kind of audience better than these kind of aliens in a way because I don't understand why they're getting human emotions all of a sudden if they can't get it before. Like
Okay,
it
I
just
don't like that it's called human emotions. I got a
hmm,
dog right there. You want to know what she's got? Emotions.
emotions. It's true.
Like
Very good.
emotions are not a human thing. That's not hinging on humanity. Like a lot of animals have emotions.
Right.
What?
It's
I'm
better when they
annoyed
call it
by this.
empathy. It's better when they call it empathy, which is they eventually switch to saying that more like it later on.
Yeah, and even then, I we'll probably get into the test, and I'll talk about that then. But it just annoys me that they're supposed to be apathetic.
Mm.
Like it doesn't inherently make any kind of sense. It is very annoying. and it's just kind of a lesser, it's like a worse version of Spock. I agree with, like, it would make a little bit more sense if they were like computers, but even then, it's just that would probably make even less sense. It's just very, I don't like this whole plot point, and it's such a big plot point.
It's kind of tired. It's kind of a tired trope too.
Yeah,
Bad
and I
guys
don't want to
emotionless,
like
bad guys emotionless.
politicize it, but it's like, I don't know, the emotionless aliens like are anti, or like trying to create a vaccine. It's like, we're getting into some right-wing conspiracy theories here. I don't know about this, guys. Let's move on. Like, let's stop with the emotion thing. It's stupid. And I think it's more interesting because, like, if you look at the original, Diana was
Wildly emotional.
I wouldn't, well, I don't particularly want to characterize her that way, but like she was definitely a creature capable of feeling. And she was feeling, her range of emotions went from murder to extra murder, which I appreciate in a villain role.
Absolutely. She had a lot of passion. She had a lot of passion in everything
Yes,
she
she's
did.
very passionate. And
Passion,
it's
arrogance.
more engaging.
Agreed. Agreed.
Like
But
this show is so effing boring, and the scenery is so boring, and the costuming is so boring. I'm not saying they have to go as extravagant as Diana, but like everything about this show is very muted,
yes,
and it's difficult to
it's
uh
clean.
connect and get engaged in.
It's very clean. Like everything feels like it's like sterile. That's the whole word.
Yeah.
It's very sterile, and like that's something like that. I mean, I throw back Star Wars all the time. What George Lucas did for Star Wars was that it made the galaxy far, far away seem such a lived-in, so dirty, textual. That was one of the greatest things about, like, everybody likes that about the original Star Wars. Whereas like that had been different. Where sci-fi had always been this kind of like very clean, crisp thing, and like this V is like harkening back to that, and it doesn't look good anymore. It seems boring to me, and it seems like I can't engage with it that much because of it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you in the costumes. The uniforms have always pissed me off. It just seems like they wouldn't be wearing. They don't look alien at all, and I need them to look at least somewhat alien. Like
I
you
would love
have,
it if they wore tracksuits.
so that'd be fine. Okay, it's like something that's beyond like this, like little like I don't even know what to call it. What they call it. I'm not a fashion guy, but this is just boring.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But
And again, everything, it's also the color palette of the show goes along with what you're saying of being clean and sterile looking and very flat. It's just all of the wrong choices, especially when you have source material to compare it to where that was so over the top.
right. And I don't know if they are. I mean, did they look at that? I mean, maybe I'm giving them too much credit that they're even bothering, but
Oh, PLD, they didn't watch it.
they look at it. I was gonna say they're looking at it and trying to do like an anti version of that, and like if so, why? I want to know what the thought process was there. Or was it just cheap and dirty? That's what it feels like. It was cheap. Like we can do this clean,
And
quick.
I wasn't paying a lot of attention, to the world in 2009 because that was in high school and that was being a high schooler. But it feels like 2009 was kind of an interesting period that seemed pretty still in terms
Mm,
of things going on. So I think, back when the show was made in the 80s, given they were harking back to like worries of fascism, but it was still made during like the Cold War, kind
right.
of. And then you have like 2009, which is a little bit more of a soft period, a little bit more calm. And I think something like V, I think would be a more interesting show to revive now,
Yeah.
for instance. Um, and maybe it's just because it was remade by people who weren't the best writers in a period that didn't necessarily have anything going on.
Yeah. That's a good point. Because I mean, that was V was very successful from the time frame it was at, and that's partially because it was very like hammer heavy. We talked about it before, like we did the original miniseries, and it wasn't subtle at all. It was very over the top, overt, like hit you in the head with a hammer, kind of like with its messages on on fascism and things of that nature. Um, this one doesn't have anything to say. Doesn't seem like it has anything to say at all, which is the biggest thing about like that's what set the original V out apart from the rest at that point. I mean, it had great fun action and obviously some swaggering adventure. It had great, Mark Singer and Michael Ironside doing fun stuff too as well. I mean, it had that covered, but at its heart was just like it had this message. Whereas 2009 just seems like be wandering around. We again, you mentioned it in our DMs, like you're like it's sixth episode or whatever it is, and we still don't even know what the visitor's main objective is. I still don't know what it is.
I felt like I missed it every episode. I'm like, did I miss it?
Is there something going on? They're going to let us know something. And every time they seem like they're going to let us in on something, but then it's like always something very subtle or small or just specifically to the episode instead of like the overall arc. And that's part of the problem is that right here, another 6 episodes in, we're almost like, at least from the visitors side of things, like an anthology show. It's like, this is the visitor plot of the week of what they're doing. But without that overall plot of what they're doing, it doesn't make sense. We can't piece it together.
Maybe I've missed it. I just erased it. Have they actually done anything? Like, we think they put something in the R6 vaccine.
Right.
But it hasn't shown to have done anything.
Yeah. They mentioned it this episode, maybe that the Live Aboard program, they were using the trackers in the R6 vaccine to pick the people they were bringing aboard. That was mentioned during this episode, but it's still very vague. So and it's not even definitive.
Put a tracker under the person's car, essentially. Like, they haven't. These bad guys haven't done any single thing that's bad. The only people they've killed are themselves.
Right. Yeah. Right. A few resistors.
What a terrible way to write a villain.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
Nothing villainous.
It feels like they're looking. It almost feels like they have something that they. No, I can't say that. It doesn't feel like that because it feels like they're trying to throw something out. Like when they said that about the trackers thing, and like it might not just be a tracker. It might be something they inserted into somebody and they were able to observe them. Because if you remember correctly, we had the episode at the end. It showed Jack and so it obviously has screens of the people that they were putting this R6 into. So they're looking at these people for something. Now they're inviting these people on board. So it's like, okay, well, they want these humans for these specific humans that they're picking out for something. So what is it? That's the problem because we don't know what it is. They don't say why. They're just saying that this looks like this is happening. But it's so vague that the visitors aren't even saying that. It's like, I think it was Jack who said, well, you know what? It's all the people who did this, yada, yada. It's like, maybe it's that. And it's like, well, okay, well, maybe isn't enough right now. I mean, we need to do. There's slow story burning and there's like glacial story burning and there's glacial like.
It's not even burning. It's literally doing nothing.
Yeah, no.
It's baffling.
No, I agree. I do feel like this is the second episode with the new showrunner, and I really feel like he's trying to slowly. He should have done a fast turn. He should have done like a quick about face, and let's just go on. I feel like he respected the show too much, or respected the first guy too much, or whatever, and said, or maybe I think he might have respected the viewers too much, and saying that, well, we have 4 episodes. We don't want to just cut the rug out. We want to try to at least slowly bring them back to where I want to go. But we don't need to because they didn't take us anywhere down the road. So it feels like he's trying to do a few things here. Like he does get a little more action piece. We have an action setup piece with the Resistance this episode.
There was?
Well, action as in like they're doing something.
Oh,
the whole
okay.
doing kind of thing. And that actually was one of my favorite parts of the show in that because that actually does call back to the original. Like what was the first really big thing the Resistance did? Was like probably the LA Medical Center and to be the final battle. It was the really big thing of like where they got him to the medical center, they ripped his face off in front of the bat and got the message out. That was the idea behind this. I like the idea.
So much more engaging than what they did here.
Way so much more engaging.
My dog fell asleep. She was so uninterested.
I was disappointed. I liked it. I was like, oh, this sounds. I didn't remember what it was. I'm like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. This sounds like it could move things forward. If all of a sudden something is put up, but instead they put up John May Lives instead of like.
I just face palmed when I saw that.
Yeah, because no one knows what that means. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a message. It's a message to the sleeper fifth, not sleeper, but the hidden fifth.
But like they could have done something else,
bigger,
yeah, something that like notified people, like the visitors are lying.
Right, that there's something going on.
Don't trust the visitors.
Right, and that's what they should have done because you wasted an opportunity. They said it because the whole part of the first part, the whole like big thing was we can't get on board, and then Hobbs like, well, Ryan can because he's a visitor. And that's cool. Okay, so Ryan but like they make this big deal about somebody getting on board, and then that's gonna be almost like a one-shot deal. So you're wasting your one-shot deal to do this such thing. So if you're gonna get on board and do this, you gotta do something big with it, or else you're wasting your opportunities.
And it irked me so much because later Hobbs is like, Ryan is not expendable. We need him. He's necessary for us.
Right.
Georgie should go. But you already literally sent Ryan. Like, what happened in between the 3 scenes that you
Right.
changed your mind? What
It just seems like he
the
needed
writing in that moment needed him to say the opposite of what he was saying earlier?
I'm trying to I think in his head, and I think it was his head was Ryan. He thought he needed to do this. That this needed to happen. Ryan was the only one that could really do it. But now that Ryan was done it, Georgie going up to save him Georgie is still more expendable than Ryan is. So I'd rather send Georgie up to try to get Ryan out and lose Georgie because it's not great. I agree, it's not great, but I kind of see
You
what he's
know,
trying to go for. But
and in terms of like a writing, I think it's really important to know who people are latching onto in terms of characters and don't kill off that character. Murder Ryan, the weirdo who's lying to his pregnant wife. Kill him. He's awful. Keep the guy whose family died, because this is a writing lesson 101. Everyone listen to this if you're a writer. People love a whoopee. If you got a tragic character, that's going to be everyone's favorite character. No matter what, keep that character. You can F up their life to the high heavens, but keep that character.
No, I absolutely agree with you on that because Georgie is absolutely the most engaging. He's had so little to do, and yet he's probably the most well drawn
Best
out
part of the show.
character we've had.
Best part of the show.
It's funny, by the way. 'Cause I remember the second episode you said I don't remember his name, but now you're with me. Now you understand.
Anyone's name, PLD. That's not anything.
Now you understand what I was saying.
I don't even know what PLD stands for.
You don't need to know. It's okay. No, but I do see what you're saying, and I do agree because Georgie, again, like he gives the best performance. He has the most, and maybe part of that's because they haven't done enough with him. Because they haven't done enough with him to fuck him up. That's part of the issue. They've done everything else. They've tried to make Ryan engaging by giving him a human female, like a love interest with a child, but like everything he does is just stupid. I even wrote down one of my notes is, what's the plan here, Ryan? Like you keep bringing her back to the visitor doctor. Like we see the visitor going in her belly because she's asleep. We see her like, what's your plan besides
so
I'm going to stall?
Like you don't think when the kid is born, it's going to be different? Like what?
Like the body is changing so much because there's a visitor inside you that you need phosphorus or this whatever they need is whatever.
That annoyed me too. Like why would you use a real life mineral?
Right.
Why would you not just make something up?
Make a visitor mineral up. And that would make so much more sense. Oh, so bad that way. But like, and then the funny thing is Ryan refuses to go to the mothership. And then all of a sudden when he needs the phosphorus in the mothership, I'll go up now.
I mean, that made sense. But it's a bit, what is it that one guy says? Super easy, Bailey, an inconvenience.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Wow, what a random happenstance. The one thing that could happen that would get me to do the thing I said I wouldn't do.
There it goes.
It's almost like, I think in terms of writing, if you're not playing that for a laugh, because like that kind of like optical flip of like, I'm never going to do that. And then it's next scene, they're doing the thing.
They're doing it. Right.
It's yuck. I love those. It's dumb. It's easy, but for me, it almost always works. Yeah. But if you're not going to do that, then just cut the line.
Yeah.
Just have them do the thing.
I agree. I fully agree. It's just kind of a, I mean, it's just the whole Ryan storyline is god awful. I understand why we'd want to keep Ryan around because he's a good, easy plot point because he's a visitor who's working with them. It's the Willie aspect in a way.
Well, because he's played by Morris Chestnut, who's amazing.
Morris Chestnut, he's very easy to look at. He's a good actor. There's a lot of reasons to keep Ryan around, but they're just doing everything wrong with him.
And at the end, okay, so I did just rewatch The First Omen, and I watched Immaculate, which, by the way, don't watch those back to back, and certainly don't watch The First Omen then Immaculate, because one of those ones is way better than the other.
Oh, interesting. Which one? I've only seen First Omen, so which one's better?
Well, I didn't like either of them, but I really didn't like Immaculate.
Okay.
But anyway, it was giving those, and I'm like, Ryan, you're Rosemary's babying this. You're the devil in this situation, and your baby has a tail. Your wife's gonna notice, you dumb,
Oh,
dumb,
shit. Man.
dumb lizard boy.
It's exactly
But
how I felt.
I will say, I think the little, I don't know, something about a little tail. It's kind of cute.
Well, we know his visitors got to come to if they come to Earth. Uh, but yeah, okay, so that's Ryan. His trip up to the mothership. Before we get there, though, let's talk about. All right, so we mentioned it before, the Live Aboard program. Again, it's one of those things that they're doing that they're not telling us what it means and why it matters. But it's a MacGuffin type plot device. It's a MacGuffin plot device without the MacGuffin. Like, why do we need these at this point? What is going on? It
Such
might be
bad
better.
writing.
Yeah, I
Maybe
agree.
they thought that they already told the audience what the visitors are doing. And they're just like, yeah, the audience already knows. We can just have this tense scene.
I actually wonder if because it's a reboot, they think that the idea is that they are come here to eating us and taking our water, and they just assume we know that because it's a reboot.
I'm assuming that's not what they're doing this time by this point.
Actually,
I have no reason to think that, but I do think that they're hinging on the audience thinking that, and they believe that they're building tension and subverting our expectations by that not being the case. I kind of feel that way with the Rings of Power, which is a show on right now, the prequel to Lord of the Rings, where there's certain things where it's like you're trying to build question marks around this situation or this character, but like, guys, you didn't do a good job. We know what it is. Just say it. Like, you didn't
right,
do a good job. Just say it.
right.
Stop trying to make it a mystery. It's
I'm
not a
trying to be cute.
mystery. You
Right.
effed up. Just say the thing. At this
Yeah.
point, it's annoying.
Of course, the problem with that is like they wrote it so long ago, and that they didn't realize how easy it was going to be affected. Like I kind of feel like sometimes you don't know how an audience is going to take things. Then also the audience does take it. And it's like, oh, they guessed that way further on, but it's already too late. They've already shot a bunch of more episodes. You know what I mean? That way, so it's like they can't really change it at this point. It's too late to change. Kind of feel like that way was like, what was our show? I can't remember what the show was now. Where somebody guessed, like we guessed like the ending like right away, and then like, but it took till the end to finally. I can't remember what it was. There's a great example of this, and I can't think of it. If I think of it, I'll tell you. But like something where right from the first episode, we're like, oh, this is what's going to happen at the end, and that was actually the ending. But they spent the whole time building it up. It was still satisfying enough because it was a good show. So when it did happen, you're kind of like, okay, cool. Sometimes it just confirms it when it's well done, but it was not well done, or it just gets too cutesy about it, then it becomes a problem. And that's what might end up being if that's the case.
Yeah, it's like when you take too long to reveal something that the audience already knows.
Yeah.
Or if you're purposely trying to misguide your audience, but you still just it's the taking too long for the reveal. Like it comes to a point where it's like when your audience says, "Could you just get there already?" You know?
Right. Absolutely. Oh, okay.
I read a book like that where like within the first few chapters, it was like a murder mystery. I'm like, all right, that person did it. And then when you get to the end, I'm like, oh, that person did it. And this is the most there are very few books where I would not recommend. And this is one of the rare ones where I'm like, it was just bad. It was just really obvious. I wouldn't recommend it.
What was the name of it? So I know not to read it.
I don't recall.
Okay, there you go.
Don't recall. It wasn't worth remembering.
All right, let's talk Hobbs then for the rest of the thing. I mean, Hobbs, again, the call to the arms was like the final battle moment where he has a plan to do something, but then he just walks into the middle of the FBI.
He Clark Kent's it. He puts on a pair of glasses and he's an indifferent human being. I'm so mad about it.
I almost couldn't be mad about it because it's almost like so funny to me. I was kind of like, they really just did that, and they're gonna go with it.
They think they did something and they didn't, and it was just dumb.
I liked Hobbs getting to meet his contact, whoever that person was that he knows, his person, like he's digging up dirt on Resistance.
It's really
I liked
important to
that.
me that that's the woman who plays Ellen in Supernatural. Thank you for your
Yes.
time.
Oh, I know. I was actually happy to see her as well. Um, but I will say I actually like that. I don't know if it's ever gonna lead anywhere, but at least that is to me that was kind of cool. Like, okay, so we're still making sure that Hobbs is his own entity and he's not just all in on this resistance side of things. He wants to know who. I like the character building with that, and also I like the idea of adding Ellen as a possible contact down the road. I think that was barely passable, but barely passable positive storytelling in that way.
I'll be honest, it was so boring. I barely even remember. I didn't get a word of what they were saying. I was like, oh, Ellen. And then I just sort of phased it out.
Basically just gave Hobbs mostly what we already know, character descriptions. Like basically
Yeah.
Jack was a goody two shoes. Jack was like he turned people in the army, and he was like, it was goody two shoes. You know, Erica was very committed, but she had a lot of issues with her partner being a terrorist. Obviously, Dale, you don't know the visitor side of things with that. There's all kind of normal stuff. But Ryan being pretty much the ghost, so like of course he knows why, and Georgie being a guy who lost his family. So, but it wasn't much to it. But it was like okay, I like him at least digging into the things more instead of just kind of blindly following in. That's something that that character would do, and I feel like it's something that he should be doing. But I want to, and I shouldn't have to give the writers credit for doing it. But it made me go, "Yay, good job! You're doing something
Oh, I
basically."
think they're doing such a mishandling of how our good guy group is interacting with one another. It's insufferable. Like the infighting, it's so dumb. Like having one episode of that's fine, but I feel like that's not going to end in one episode. And they think that's where the tension should arise is from within, and it's not. It's unnecessary.
No,
It's
especially when there's
annoying.
only 4 resistance members, like 5
Yeah.
resistance members. Like if there's just like a big resistance group and there's infighting, that's okay. But like it should be tension between Hobbs and the other 4. The other 4 should be in on it with each other at this point already.
Well, I
Hobbs
mean,
has
also they
intentions too.
recruited Hobbs, so he
Right.
should just be in on it too. They should get along. They should have a common goal.
I see
It's
there
real
I will
easy.
disagree with you. There I would disagree with you. I kind of like having all the tension is not good, but having the 4 group who started the resistance, Hobbs being a like almost a hired mercenary, they don't know if they can trust, they know they need him, and him having his own possible ambitions or whatever. I kind of like that as a potential story point, potentially, because there's a little bit in between the visitors' resistance. That's a nice, I think it's a nice
I think it
possible
it
story point.
works in terms of like small arguments on how to get things done, but then once we have a plan, we work together.
Well,
And
that I
that
agree
doesn't
with.
seem like what happened.
Well, but this is the first time Hobbs has worked with them, really. So I think this is what I'm okay with that so far because Hobbs hasn't like they met Hobbs last time, and now this is the first time Hobbs is trying to do something, and they're kind of butting heads a little bit with his style or whatever. And so that makes sense to me as well. There should be a little bit of growing pains there. The problem is that the Erica and Jack and George and everybody else should be really on the same page right now, but they're not entirely yet, and that's just too slow storytelling for me. Um,
This whole show is too slow.
that's fair. That's fair. The other side of the resistance side of things, as far as that goes, was Jack going to Chad. What did you think about that angle?
They got PLD. Once again, for the 6th time in a row, Chad is like, but are the V's trustworthy? Every episode, we're going to do this every single episode.
Right.
Every episode, I'm over it.
It would have been so much easier if, like, well, I didn't like, first of all, Jack, like, doing the whole my parishioners angle just felt like so lame. And so, like,
That was fine for me.
I thought it looked so, like, it was so obvious what he was doing, and I kind of would rather have had him like be more like just come right out and let's just get into it, and then to have Chad actually get into the resistance because then I'd like to be able to see Chad go, oh, this is the journalist side of me saying I can go into the resistance side of things and get their side of things and try to see and like he could actually literally play both sides at this point. you're going to do something with that character,
Oh, PLD, these writers
play
can't
both
do
sides.
that.
I know. I know.
I wouldn't even think of that.
Something better
I'm
than
just
just
thoroughly so annoyed.
the weeble wobble that Chad is
But
at
then
this point.
he, as a journalist, should now be like, "Who's John May?" Gotta do some
Right.
research on that. But
Yeah.
I doubt that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. I can't remember, to be honest with you. But you're exactly right. Once that happens, that should have been like a Christine Walsh moment for him, where he kind of goes, there's definitely something more going on that I need to know about before I go headlong into everything else. Chad. He had such hopes in the beginning, but nothing. It's like, it just seems like
Oh,
it's
I will say though, there was a scene where they are shooting it from like back of his head.
Mhm.
You know, I never noticed, but that man has phenomenal cheekbones. And
Yes.
that is the compliment that I have there. Very
Skull.
superficial. That's all I
Yes,
got.
he is a very strong-faced character, that is for sure. Um, okay, what do you think about we talked about Georgie a little bit. Ryan having Georgie tell Val, such a god-awful thing. I'm sorry. Like, how could Ryan doesn't tell Val himself, and then is gonna leave to Georgie to tell her this
Well, only if he
strange thing.
dies.
I get it, but it just feels like
Well, PLD, I don't
how
know
the
if you
doctor
realize
know.
this, but he's a coward.
He really is.
Like, I don't know. I can't think of another character where I'm like, wow, you were just straight up a weak coward. I
That's
got nothing for you, man.
that about covers it. You're not wrong. At least you could have the doctor do it. I think I would tell the doctor chick to do it because I mean, at least she knows her a little bit. I don't
No,
know.
what you do is you write a letter.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, so he's a V. Probably has some technology. He can at least probably record something or something. At least have something. Oh, ridiculous. All right. So devising the empathy test. You had something to say about that? Let's go with that. The test for empathy.
You see the fifth element?
I have.
Yeah. It's what Lilu does to learn about the world, and we
Yep.
are on the W apparently. We're just
Mhm.
learning about war today. And apparently, if you have empathy, watching 2-second clips, a bunch of 2-second clips of war will make you feel,
Mhm.
I don't know, upset?
I
Question mark?
guess. I think I
Honestly, PLD,
guess
I'm
it
telling
is.
you right now, I could pass that fucking test. If my life depended on it, fuck those people. I don't give a shit about this war. I'm living tomorrow.
I almost feel like it's, like, worse than that, but they couldn't show it because it's network TV. They kinda, like it was, like, probably something really gory potentially. That's in my
Well,
head,
I
the only thing I
mean,
can
there's a
imagine.
difference between like gore and I don't know. What was it with as many horror movies as I've seen? I
You
could
could
pass
probably
this
work.
test with flying colors.
Probably could. You probably could. Okay, that's fair. But not everybody has watched horror movies like we have, so maybe that would provide some kind of empathy to test to some people, potentially. But, um, eh, yeah, I'm just not a big fan of that either because again, it goes back to the whole emotion side of things. I don't like the emotionless aliens. They just don't work for me.
But
Um,
then further, the whole 2% margin of error. So there's some sort of reading they get. I don't know, your empathy levels
yeah.
tested or whatever. And they use Anna's as a baseline and they test everyone else on the ship. Joshua tests it, which is a problem in and of itself because this is right before we get the title for the opening credits.
Mhm.
And it's supposed to be a tenseful moment, but we already know Joshua, the guy administering the test, is the fifth column. So
Right,
you
right,
just
right,
took all the sinister, like, oh, what's going to happen out of
right,
it because we know the guy is doing the test on our side.
right.
Dumb. So dumb. But then
Ah,
they do the test and they realize there's like a 2% margin of error.
right,
Um, so, if someone fails the test, maybe there's like a 2% differential between their score and Anna's score, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're uh, too empathetic or whatever.
right,
It just means that, they're not quite the fifth column,
right,
they're not, turning or
right.
anything. It just means that they're a little more empathetic, but than Anna is.
Right.
So that test was stupid. But what I did think was interesting, and I did think this was interesting, is that Marcus two times showed kind of concern about killing fellow visitors.
Yes. Yeah. That would have been a good
I like
way to do it.
he seems like a math nerd, and
Right.
I, as a statistician, appreciate that.
No,
Let's get those
I
numbers. Let's get the data. Let's double check.
right, yep. Um, and I will say this, I don't know about you, I thought it was a minorly nice swerve at the guy following Ryan, who saw Ryan, like, react to the baby crying, like, that he was a fifth
Oh my
columnist.
god.
I thought that was a nice enough swerve, like, in terms of, like, I didn't think they had it in them to try a swerve like that at all. I thought it'd be too I thought Josh was gonna have to kill the guy or something. It was gonna be one of those kinda, like, stupid scenarios. But having him be a fifth columnist as well, I actually liked that swerve a little
I did not.
bit. Somehow I knew I could tell by your face.
I think the main thing is like one, okay, I hate babies. So and watching this man who's like literally killing his wife and potential child, this weak-willed little lizard boy, like getting all emotional and choked up multiple times about a baby. I'm like, no, this man does not care. Are you kidding me? It's just making me mad.
I
He doesn't even have a
disagree.
kid, and you're telling me, I'm sorry, not to be mean to like men and fathers out there, but he doesn't even have a kid yet. And you're telling me he's already getting choked up about the idea of a baby? Come on.
Hey, I
Come
did.
on.
I did. I did. I think
I
we
don't
did
believe
too.
Lizard Boy does, though. You
He's
think
a fifth
Lizard Boy does?
he's got emotions. He has emotions. In the story as it's presented, is he's a fifth columnist with emotions. So whether that's done, whether
I feel like
you
this
can argue
movie is
both
doing
sides of things.
way too much goodwill towards father figures and not at doing good things, at making mothers horrible. Like, what are you doing, show? This show is so made by men. Are you kidding me? The moms are awful and the dads are great. It's stupid. I'm so mad about it.
Well, let's
I'll be
speak
over
about
here
dads. Let's talk about
fuming.
dads. Let's talk about dads. Then
Fuming.
we do get Tyler's dad in this episode. Um, but yeah, and
Okay,
go ahead.
hold up. This is important to me. He played Foss on Kyle XY, and I loved that show. Also,
Okay.
he played Elliot Nash on that episode of Supernatural that Dean
That's
goes back in time. It was really
right.
great.
That's
He's
where I
in a lot of
recognize him
shows. He's
from.
also in X-Files.
There you go.
Yeah, he's all over the place. And I did just happen to be wearing this shirt. I didn't put it on for
You
that
didn't
reference.
plan for that. Okay, I believe you. I believe
I've
you.
been wearing this shirt for like 2 days. It's actually, I don't know what it's made out of, but it's like the most comfortable material.
Okay.
I want all
Sometimes you
my
get those.
shirts to be this.
I have a shirt like that too. It's some kind of not cotton. It's like it's a special blend. It's very comfortable. Um, but yeah. So what did you think of that? You're criticizing the mother side of things, so you don't like what Erica did with Tyler this episode. I'm assuming.
Okay, I get it. But also, it's so dumb. But also, they kept circling back around a conversation. The parents kept circling back around a conversation that they should have regarding Tyler. I'm assuming his parentage, like,
That's what it seems
listen,
like.
we've all been abandoned by our mother to live with a person who's labeled as our father on our birth certificate, but probably actually isn't. We've all done it. We've all had that happen. It's a common, not at all niche experience that I'm not in any way, shape, or form bitter about personally. So maybe I'm taking personal experiences and applying them where they
A
don't
little more
belong.
universally than they probably should be. I'll say that. I think you're.
Listen, where they don't belong. Listen, I'm just saying I don't like Tyler. I do like this actor though, who plays the dad, who's
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call Foss.
Okay, that's
Didn't
fine.
care to learn his name. I didn't catch what his name is in the
I think it's
show.
Joe. I think it's Joe. I want to say it's such a nondescript name. They're all like names like
I'm
that, like
never gonna
Joe,
remember Joe.
John,
He's
Meg, Joe,
Foss.
Ugh,
You can't have a show
Jack,
where there's someone named Jack and have a John or a
Joe.
Joe. Like, come
I think we have
on.
all three. We have Jack and John May. So we have
Oh, you're
Jack,
right.
Joe, John.
What is happening? Oh my gosh. What a terrible idea.
And then Georgie.
I'm so mad about Georgie. Like, just call him George.
I know. Georgie is not like that's not a Georgie. I don't want to either way.
No, it's a grown man.
I will admit, I groaned about Joe and the conversation, the parentage conversation, because I felt like, oh, so here's another mystery about Tyler that we're gonna have to eventually slow burn and find out. Is it that important? Probably not in the grand scheme of things. What we're doing here, it's just we're just adding more on top of Tyler, and I don't like Tyler either.
I mean, was because I was thinking like maybe Erica had been Rosemary babied and that he was a visitor.
That's something
Now
I
I'm
thought of too, but
thinking,
Erica would have
no,
known.
Joe's clearly not a
Right.
visitor.
That's what I thought too. I did. It just feels
And
like
Tyler doesn't have a tail. I'd like him a hell of a lot more if he did, though.
like I did like Joe as well, like the character, like what he was given, what he was giving to the show, not what he was given for him to work with, but what he was giving despite not much to
Yeah,
give
he's
him
a great
to.
actor.
He is good. He is very good. I actually appreciate what Erica was doing this episode. I do think it was a smart choice, like because she's playing nice for the camera, because she doesn't, because some I forget who it was, either Ryan or Jack, or maybe it was even Georgie. Basically, she can't take him out because it's like they are interested in him. If she pulls him away, they're going to be more interested in him, and he's going to be
But she
rebelling
did pull him
against her.
away.
But she
He
did
literally left to go with his dad.
in a better way than just saying you can't go. He did it in a way like, oh, let's go visit your father, like in a way that because Tyler's stupid and Tyler doesn't understand what's going on. So like it was a smart.
You know, they
pull
should
by
do
her.
what Donovan did and just forgot he had a kid. Unnamed child.
Put some respect on Sean Donovan's name.
Unnamed child.
Donovan.
You keep saying it and the audio isn't picking up what you're saying. I literally can't hear you saying it. You're like the teen. You're like the teen in Agatha All Along. Like the little it's all your lips disappear.
I will put on the video of the final battle where it's slow motion, Mark Stern going, Dawn!
Dawn? It's Dead by Dawn? I love that. What a great sequel.
He puts respect on Sean Donovan's name.
I actually can't. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting. Put some respect on Donovan's name. It's not. The audio isn't working.
You and your tech.
Are you Mephisto all along?
Maybe I am. So, all right, but yeah, beyond that, I don't like Tyler's thing at all. Especially Lisa showing up at the end made it even worse. Like, I just don't care about them anymore. I'm already done with them. So, what else is there to say about this episode? Oh, so the swerve of the fifth column. I kind of mentioned that you didn't like it, but I liked it enough. Joshua tells him about this comms device. Like, what a boring MacGuffin that is. An ancient tech comms device that John May used to use. Like, it just seemed like...
Oh, I forgot about that. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's the MacGuffin. That's like, okay, well, that's what we're going to do next. We have to go get this ancient comms device. Like, why? You can't... Why do you need an ancient... Because it can't be detected? Okay, fine, but like, just... Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And this whole thing, by the way, this is where the most egregious part comes in for me. The one thing I really did get angry at in the show, which not at all, not this entire show, I wasn't very angry at all. This one time I just watched. So Ryan leaves. He has his phosphorus. He leaves Joshua and the other fifth columnist dude, whoever that was. I can't remember his name. Excuse me. And starts walking out of the ship. And he takes the jacket off and throws it away.
What an idiot.
Why?
This dumb lizard boy can do nothing right.
Like, I don't even understand what the motivation, like, what's the character motive? Not even that he's dumb, like.
So I think
what's the thought process?
jacket marks him as a visitor, and to leave the ship, I think he needs to be not a visitor.
Well, they should definitely make that clear, because I was like, you got on the ship with your hand.
You're telling me after every episode of all of those miniseries, after 19 episodes of the show, they didn't think to include the vents? Did they think we wouldn't remember the vents? Are you joking? The vents. Ryan could have just put that jacket in a vent. Nobody would notice.
It would have been a great callback. It would have been actually perfect. Okay, they open the vent. Perfect. Put it away. No, he just throws it in the hallway. Like,
He left it on the floor. Like, that doesn't even make any sense.
on a
They don't
ship
have
which is
trash cans?
so sterile and so clean. There's nothing on these floors. Like, you could lick these floors and it'd be fine. And
Like, imagine going to a hospital and finding a jacket on the floor of a hallway. Like, it stands out. It's very
yes.
obvious.
That's because there's not even anything in these hallways. These hallways are just walls, an occasional door, and floor.
There's definitely a trash chute. Okay,
That
Luke
was
Skywalker's getting crushed. Throw the jacket in.
it was not a fun. No, that was my word. That was the most egregious part of the episode for me. And I kind of was like, oh God.
Well, I mean, obviously, the part I liked least was Georgie's
Sacrifice.
He got
Well,
martyred, guys.
he's not dead yet.
He's getting flayed.
But he's not dead yet. They haven't showed him dead, so I don't think he's dead because they actually made a point at the end of the episode where they're going to go after Georgie. They're going to come back and try a rescue attempt on the mothership to save.
And I
Georgie.
feel like then they shouldn't showed that last scene because that last scene was definitely they're not going to get him.
Maybe, but it could be he's being tortured now, but not necessarily killed.
Also, can we just their thing with skinning is very strange. Like, if I'm Joshua, he's ordered to skin 3 visitors.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, can I do this in something faster? Like, you ordered a lot of tech. Like, I got a lot of work. Can we expedite? Can we just break a neck? Can we just
Isn't there like a laser skinner or something?
Can they take the little pills that just evaporated the other ones?
Please.
Like, there's faster, cleaner methods.
Yeah, I agree. They want to induct pain, but you know what? This is the deal. And if you want to do it so badly, you would do it yourself. I got work to do. That's what I would say.
I'm busy. I got an entire ship.
I'm so busy.
I'm just making him Bones from Star Trek, but that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
But he's emotionless, so I do like his character, but he's boring to watch.
Yeah, no, I do too. He's playing emotionless. He's got to play emotionless. That's what made that one time post skinning, like where he had that really great emotional moment
after he skinned his lover.
Yes, absolutely.
Whose name I did write down and now don't remember because that was 2 weeks ago. And by the way, the other one, Samuel.
You see, you remembered his name. You didn't remember Georgie's name at first, but you remember Samuel. Okay, good to know. So it did leave a mark on you. Fair. All right. Anything else that we missed? Are we got the Hobbs, talked about Tyler's dad. Leaving him with the dad, I thought was a good idea for Erica. Like, I think I said that, but unfortunately, Lisa's going to screw that up by visiting him anyway.
It still feels like Anna's trying to pimp out her daughter. And every time I see this, I'm just like Fancy by Reba McEntire starts playing.
That's fair.
And it's giving weird. Again, just underlying dads are portrayed really well and moms are portrayed as awful in this show.
Well, to be fair, she is the villainous mother who is evil. So she's an evil mother. So her being an awful mother is not necessarily a bad thing. Theoretically speaking.
Okay, but the way they're portrayed as bad, you didn't have to make her like prostituting her child out. It's unnecessary.
Well, it's Laura Vanderbilt, so people got to make her look good. They want to make her look sexy. So that's what it is.
She could just exist. Done. You could just have her sitting in a nook reading a book. You did it.
To be fair, that's pretty much all she's good for, unfortunately.
PLD.
I am not a fan of her as far as her acting, her performances go. I never liked her as Supergirl. I never liked her in this. I just don't think I've ever seen her.
You haven't watched anything with her that's actually decent to watch.
You know what? I shouldn't judge her like that, I'm saying, but I can only judge on what I've seen. And both performances I've seen have been very vapid, very eye candy, very shallow, very surface level, very I am here because I am
I
hot.
hate how they wrote Supergirl in
Tara.
Smallville. And a show that
Yes,
was so good. They really dropped the ball on
yes,
that.
I agree. Have you seen Laura and stuff that's good? Because I will withhold judgment a little bit and always watch something with an open mind.
I saw another show that wasn't good, but I liked her in it. It's a
Okay.
werewolf show called Bitten.
Okay.
I liked her in Supergirl. She played a brainiac.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. She was okay in that. That was her best time I've seen her, I think.
I'm trying to think.
Oh,
I've seen her in a movie, and nothing's popping into
yeah.
my brain.
See, that's why I'm getting nothing from her. So I'm willing to say that she is she's an eye candy actress as far as I'm concerned so far. I can be proven
Rude.
wrong at any time. If she could, I'm always willing to take a look and see. But
Although
so far,
honestly, there's a recent actress who's blowing up that I feel that same way about. I feel a
did you
little
just
bad
watch her
for her.
tonight?
Hmm?
Did you just watch her tonight?
Sydney Sweeney.
That's what I was going for. Yes. um, I haven't watched. Actually, I haven't watched enough of her to make that kind of judgment either. What if I
I
mean,
feel
I
like
need
her
to
two
watch
big things
Euphoria.
are Immaculate and Anything But You.
I know she's in Euphoria.
Never watched it.
And she was okay in that. She was okay. I don't think I haven't seen Max. I haven't seen anyone but you. Something else. She was on something else recently. 'Cause I've seen her in something else. Wasn't Shell? What is she in?
I got nothing. Nothing comes to the brain.
Because that's amazing to me if she's not. Because quite frankly, how could she? Oh no, I did not see that either. Did not see Madam Web, of course. She was in the White Lotus, which I never watched. I never watched. How do I? She's amazing. I don't know anything that she's in. I never watched anything she's in, but I know her very well. That's how big she is at this point. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but she was another big part in that.
I don't remember hearing that at all.
Diane Snake Lake. I don't think she's a big part. She's one of the Manson family Chiquitas. Um, yeah, so I don't really know. Like I said, Euphoria is the only thing I really know her from, and I only watched the first 2 seasons on that. She was okay at that. I'll give Anyone But You a shot, and I will give Immaculate a shot anyway because it is a horror film, and I tend to watch all horror films eventually.
Oh,
Um,
I've seen so many PLD.
I know you have. You've watched more than me, and that says something. So
My last count, I'm almost at 1,250.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So
Is it?
it is.
I've gone weird places, but you should check out In a Violent Nature. I just watched that one. It was very good.
That's the point of view one, right?
It's
The killer point of view
not
one.
fully his point of view, but
Okay.
it's following him for
Okay.
very much most of it.
Okay.
It was pretty unique. I think they did a fantastic job.
Okay. That's fair. I've actually definitely been
The
wanting to see
end
that.
isn't
So.
great, but up until then, fantastic.
If I remember correctly, spoiler alert, if I remember correctly, I can't spoil it because I don't know for sure, but I remember hearing somebody complain that like the person got away and like it was like, well, he was kind of supernatural the whole time, and that's how she gets away. Like he just stops there or something like that. Like he should have kept going because he was, I don't know, something like that.
No, I think it makes sense like why so it's kind of like Friday the 13th part 6. So there's something happens, which is why he starts killing, and then something happens, and that's why he stops. And I think ending those, it completely makes sense.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, well, I definitely will take a look at that at some point soon. I got a lot of stuff to watch, and I got to catch up on a lot of TV with the wife. We got a lot of shows we got to catch up on as well. So, but that'll do it for this week, I guess, folks. I guess we've hit everything else, unless you have anything else you want to add on.
Woof.
Woof. Okay. Hey, still best episode so far, perhaps. And it wasn't
That is the
or the
most
least worst.
tragic bar.
The least worst episode. How about that?
That is a tragic.
I'm going to be
bar.
positive, and at least it's moving in the right direction. It might have only taken like a centimeter step, but at least it wasn't as bad.
You know what a good show is? Agatha All Along.
That was good. I watched that this week. That was good. And I also watched The Penguin, which I also really enjoyed. So I watched both.
That one's all you, PLD, all you.
Well, you wouldn't like that type of show anyway. You've said that before. So, but it's a very well made show. I think. Did you actually watch it? You didn't. Okay. Okay. Makes sense. It's a very well made show. So, anyway, that'll do it for this week. Lego, where can the folks find you?
Be found at Lego Rants on YouTube and the Unhinged Binge on Spotify, as well as YouTube is a playlist for that. I talk about movies and stuff sometimes. I can also be found on the Rob Fishbeck Network, where on Thursdays we talk about movies and stuff. When this episode drops, I think we'll be talking about what will we be talking about? Either we're talking about M. Night Shyamalan or movies that take place in the woods.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. I'll definitely check that out, and definitely like you watching you guys on the Rob Fishbeck Network. It's a good shows there as well. I'm gonna have him on. I'm gonna try to get him on the show, the one-off show I do at some point. Maybe talks with Springsteen. He hasn't known this. He doesn't know this yet. I haven't actually reached out to him, but I think he.
Oh, if you, yeah, he'll
be jumped on. I have all faith in the world in it. You can find me on the socials at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. I got a Blue Sky. I've started trying to use Blue Sky, but I don't remember what my thing is there. I'll get it eventually. I'm all over the channel. Obviously, review we do every 2 weeks. Two mediocre white dudes on a film. We do the other alternating weeks now, which is what we're going to be doing. Now I'm trying to get back on schedule. PJ and I are going to finish up with with John Wick Chapter 4 next week. That'll be our last part of the John Wick. And then we'll go on to A Nightmare on Elm Street, the Freddy Krueger's movies. So excited to do those for spooky season for sure. That'll be the last of the big three of the Michael, Jason, and Freddy's. And what else do? I got Holy Snokes, every Star Wars podcast every week with Maddie Gunner. And I got one-offs, the aforementioned one-offs I do every once in a while. This month's episode is going to be with Chris Clark. We're going to be discussing Billy Joel. And I always do my Crown Jewels podcast every week with doing my journey through the Queen catalog song by song. But that does it for this week. We'll be back in 2 weeks again, as always, to the next episode of the. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to the end of season 1. And then we'll see where we are there. So until next time, as always, Prete Nama.